Yo, what's going on, Bro Talk Nation, man? It's your boy Eric here, man. Got my brother Jamarcus on, man. And tonight, man, we got a special guest, Pastor Dozier. We're gonna let him come on, introduce himself, and let him talk a little bit about himself. But man, tonight, it's gonna be a good one. We're still in this series talking about trees, and man, the trees that you're thinking about, I need you to change your mindset. All right. We talking about, the planted trees. We're talking about how Jesus said we were the trees. So we're diving more into it, man, tonight's episode. And if you didn't get a chance, go back and check last week's episode. It was a great one. Had some fire on there, had some power on there. God brought a word and it woke me up. That's all I got to say. But I'm going to turn it over to my brother Jamarcus, man. Bro, what we got for the people, man?
What's going on, Bro Talk Nation, man? And it's always good to be back, man. First and foremost, we always got to give glory to God that we are able to get on here and do what we do. And tonight, like he said, man, I already know this is about to be crazy. I'm literally going to try not to go into overtime, but I can't promise anything, right? He already put it out, man. If you did not catch last week's episode, man, it was absolutely fire. We're still in this series called Trees. Tonight is our third installment. You're about to get a word. I already know God is about to come on and do some crazy things. And I'm going to keep this short. If you're on YouTube, subscribe, ring the bell, get the new content, all that, blah. We just trying to get in your house right now to sit on your couch. So let me introduce our guest tonight. Tonight, our guest is himself, the pastor Joseph Dozier from Crosswalk Church. Couple short things before I turn it over. He already reps Virginia, 2 up, 2 down. He put that in his bio, so I had to say it for all the Chris Brown fans out there everywhere. We're in the same state. He's a loving husband. He's a father to 2 and 1 on the way. Congratulations. We cannot wait for that to come through. And like I said, he's the pastor at Crosswalk. He's also a real estate investor. And the last and most important information that I have to talk about that he did not put on here, because I know he didn't want to boast about this because it's the best part. He is a down Cowboys fan. And I knew when I first met him, that is the reason why God brought us together. That is all that needed to be said in that whole bio.
Amen.
Amen. But I'm going to get over and turn this over to the pastor himself so he can go ahead and talk.
Come on, Dallas all the way from VA, 2 up, 2 down. People always ask me, like, how'd you become a Dallas Cowboy fan? I'm like, man, my dad was a huge Cowboys fan, so I had to keep repping it. He's a huge Celtic fan. That's my number 2 team, but I'm a Chicago Bulls fan. So shout out to Chicago almost beating Miami in the play-in game. They disappointed me, but it's all good. All good. Glad to be here. So excited to join you guys today. Thank you for the introduction. So pumped about talking about trees. I caught the first one. It was incredible. So incredible to learn so much from you guys. So super excited to talk about Prune to Grow tonight.
All right. Hey, once again, we're all on here. Now the introductions have been set. We've already showed you our identification. Now we're here to sit on your couch. All right, y'all. Listen, I'm going to start this thing off and I'm going to kick it off and we're going to dive right into it. I just want to set the tone for everybody. Like we said, we're in our series called Trees. We're in our third installment. And I just want to ask everybody, do you remember the time, since we have all fellas on here right now, and for the ladies, just stick along with the actual content right now. If you remember, I remember being a young lad, a young pup growing up, right? And I remember seeing my older cousin, start to grow his mustache, right? And I envied it. I was like, man, he becoming a man. He's starting to grow his mustache, and I wanted to be on that good train. All my family members was noticing it. So I was like, hey, I got to do something. And I remember I used to walk around doing this motion right here because somebody told me that I will make the hair grow faster if you did this, right? But I started to notice that was not the truth. Like, no hair was starting to grow. Nothing was going on. But I got a secret from one of my friends who started to grow their mustache, and I was jealous. He told me his dad told him, if you shave, it will make the beard grow faster. I know I'm not the only one who heard this before, but like that's what I heard, and I was like, that is the secret sauce. So here goes little Jamarcus with little peach fuzz starting to shave because I was told if you shaved, it will grow faster. I want y'all to know, and all the young people, that is a straight myth. That did not help. All I did was end up with bloody faces with tissue around. No hair grew faster. Nothing worked. But I did know, y'all, I was practicing something so early that was going to be so big later down the line. I was practicing what we're literally about to talk about right now. I was practicing about pruning to grow. I mean, pruning to grow, right? It's so big, man. So like I just wanted to go in that one and I wanted to read the verse real quick before we started talking about it. And the verse is literally John 15, chapter 15, verse 1 through 2. And it says, I am the true vine, and my father is the gardener. He cuts off every branch in me that bears no fruit, while every branch that does bear fruit, he prunes so that it will be more fruitful. Ah, that is good. That is so good. Because here we are today on this title, Prune to Grow. Bro, I'm gonna start right there, and I'm gonna turn it over to E to just so we can start filling in before we start diving in. But that verse, bro, is already so big.
Hey, man, you know, when I was reading it, bro, I was like, man, is this the reason why, you know, we go through storms? Is this the reason why, you know, some tests in life it seems like we keep going through those tests over and over and over?
Yeah.
And I was listening. It's crazy, bro, that you say that we was reading this. I was listening to a freestyle on YouTube, and the guy was like, you got to see, in order to see where you've been, you got to see what you went through.
That's good.
And this verse is perfect for that, because the more God refines you, the more he prunes you, the better and better you get.
Yeah.
Right. The more that he continues to, you know, cut off some of that bad stuff on you and new things grow, the better you become. Your personal identity of who you are starts to change, because like Sis said, people talking about you, that's my old house, I don't live there no more. Right. That's the old me. You need to re-meet me. Right. So that's what I got from that verse, man. That's a powerful verse, man.
That's good. Pastor Joe, you want to jump in just from the jump shot from the verse?
Yeah, I love that verse. Something that stuck out to me was the fact that Jesus said that those branches that don't bear fruit, he cuts off. But then he also said the ones that bear fruit, he prunes. So there's always going to be cutting.
Oh, that's good.
That's so like good. There's always going to be issues or conflict that rises up in our lives, either because it's not bearing fruit or either because it's bearing fruit. And I listened to a podcast this morning, and I have to read it. I was like, oh man, this is good from what you sent me, just the scripture verse. And I shared it to my wife this morning, and he said, embrace the struggle, or struggle on purpose. Endure struggle and pain. It will help you grow. It's the only place where you grow. The best view comes after the hardest climb. And it's just like, it's like, man, it's so hard to embrace conflict. It's so hard to embrace hardship. It's so hard to embrace those moments. And even like, I've just been learning in my walk with Jesus right now. Like I know the enemy does attack us. I know that. But we also have to realize the enemy only has power that we give him. Like, he has to ask God for authority. Remember, he goes to Jesus and says, hey, can I sift Peter like wheat? And he asked Jesus that.
Yeah.
He has no authority unless God gives him the authority. And so God allows situations in our lives because, one, we're not bearing fruit, or two, because we are bearing fruit.
That is
Ooh,
that's so
I don't
good.
think y'all caught that last part.
No, they did not. And I'm gonna help them catch it because that was so good. You always say that line about that, how God gives authority and we have authority over so much. And another example of that, Pastor, is one of my favorite people in the Bible is Job. And I think a lot of people miss the beginning part of the story where God was telling him, hey, you could do this, but you can't do that. Like I'll let you do this, but you can't touch that. And now that I'm sitting here thinking about it, I'm already getting chills because this is what God does. Like, that was the pruning that was going on in Job's life. Like, he was pruning out some things like, hey, you could touch his family because I need to show him that right now his wife ain't really got his back like they say he do. So I need to cut that branch off to like show some things. And how you just said that is when I just got more into that story of Job. Oh my God, that is so good and powerful.
Man.
And
yes, it was, man.
Yes, it was.
Wow.
And I want to go into this little part about, like, I'm telling y'all, there's so much research on this. I'm a very Google person and everything. You know this, but like in this thing, like, did y'all know that farmers and people who grow trees actually cut or prune their trees to help them grow bigger? Like, I'm learning things as we're going, right? I never thought about, like, that's why you walk around or you've been driving around and you see certain branches cut on trees, that the reason they're doing it, all my life I thought they was trying to like take away from shade or like doing things like that. No, they're actually trying to help the tree get better by cutting off certain branches, right? So like I had to give the people the definition of prune. Before we even start this, I wanted to help people define the word prune, right? From the dictionary, it says the word prune means trim, trees, shrubs, bushes, or whatever, by cutting away dead or overgrown branches, especially, it's my favorite part of this, to increase fruitfulness or growth. That's the dictionary. Like that's the definition of pruning in the dictionary. And if you just heard what Pastor talk about, that's correlating right to the definition. So even Webster got it from the Bible. They knew that the prune was going to help something grow. So the reason this works is because at the end of each branch, right? The reason why prune works is because they have these things called buds, right? The buds release hormones that limits how much other buds allow the branches and tree to grow. So when these buds are removed, by properly pruning it, the other buds can help the tree grow. That was so crazy to me, and y'all like, you telling me that is something that the tree produces that stops it from really growing to its max. And I got here and I started thinking, wow, on my journey, what do I got that's stopping me from growing? And I know the Bible tells us that sin lives in us, like it's a part of us. So hold on, God, I know you're not doing this. Like, I know you're not helping me with this. Like, bro, I'm telling y'all, it was so crazy, right? And I wanted to turn that over to a discussion right there on that part on what I just said about the buds. Like, there are buds on these branches that like automatically stops it from growing, right? And I wanted to turn that over to us to have like a real deep conversation on what do y'all see or what have y'all conquered in y'all lives that were buds for y'all that was potentially stopping you from your full growth.
Ooh, that's good.
So I'll take that one. I'll take the first one. So I know for me, growing up, the things that were attached to my dad, like my feelings towards my dad and my mom, those things kept me from growing. Right? I could only get so far with emotional whether it's emotional trauma, whether it's physical trauma, or whatever it was. I couldn't get outside my emotions, right? And my emotions towards my parents only like correlated back into my relationships with people. I didn't trust anybody. So trust is the biggest thing that stopped me from growing as a person, right? And even in my spiritual walk with God, because if I can't trust my own mother and father, the people that God sent to shepherd me, how can I go out and trust others or trust the word of God?
That's good.
And I think a lot of times when we get hurt in relationship, that trust in God is the first thing that takes the the hit for it. Like we blame God for this stuff happening to me, but you don't understand that it happened to you for a reason, so that you can grow more later in life. See, we don't catch that later in life part. We catch that I'm going through it right now, right? So for me, it was just trust. Like I didn't trust people due to my emotional traumas with my parents.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
It's really good. Yeah, I think for myself is like unforgiveness can help us stop growing. I mean, a lot of things can help us stop growing. I mean, like you think about fruit, right? What Paul says, hey, grow in the fruit of the spirit, and what we do as people, we walk in our flesh. So anything that's concerning the flesh stops us growing.
That's good.
But I would say for myself, like part of it is like unforgiveness, like learning how to forgive people. And I'm gonna hit y'all with another quote. Like I just heard this today. He said, and again, I this was good. Forgiveness is letting a prisoner go and realizing that prisoner was you the whole time.
Dang. Oh man. Like
realizing that was you the whole time. Like think about that. Like when you finally release someone from what you had against them, it was like, yo, I'm releasing myself. Like I see myself in them. Like my parents got a divorce. I didn't grow up in a healthy home. I married someone who grew up in a healthy home that had good role models for their parents, and I'm looking back, man, I feel like I'm always catching up because of my parents' mistakes or of people's mistakes in my lives, and I'm always blaming people. But it's like, kind of to back what you said, is like, okay, I gotta forgive them for the hurt, but realize that they also had trauma in their life. I also have to realize that they experience pain, they experience heartache, and it's hard to think about that in the moment, especially with people, because like you get so frustrated with people right away. Like I even thought about it today. I was like, man, I'm getting so frustrated with this one person, but I have to step back and say, okay, what are they going through right now? What is hindering their growth? What kind of storm are they facing? How can I encourage them in their storm, but also realize, forgive them? You're seeing something in them that is relating to you. Like you're seeing yourself in them. And so just learning how to forgive people. And I think that stops us from hindering growth. That stopped me from growing. But God has been teaching me all about forgiveness and like the power of forgiveness, because it's so important.
Man, I'm gonna say both of y'all had to been shooting at me. Like it's that both of y'all examples was definitely my example. Like from the blaming my worldly father for his mistakes and not being here, to me correlating that with my spiritual father and not you know, and you know, the Bible works so fun. That's why the Bible literally tells us not to call, you know, our earthly father's father, because you're going to correlate the two. Like, I don't want to be like your earthly father. And I did that. Like, I blamed God for, you know, I didn't even want to call him father because I hated the word father. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I felt that pain. And then, like you said, Pastor Joe, like that forgiveness for, you know, I talked about it on the show before, my sexual assault that happened to me when I was younger, that back to that trust, right? I literally I looked at the word as chaos. So I was okay with chaos since I was brought up in it. I'm like, this is the way it needs to be. So it's okay, right? I think one of the other things that I would say that hindered me from growth was not thinking that I deserved happiness or joy. Like, you know, I always thought, like, you know, since everything was messed up, I wasn't worthy of getting joy. So like that really put a hinder on my growth, on certain relationships with, you know, spouse, with kids early on. You know, getting awarded for something, I never felt like it was short-lived. I was like, okay, I got it, cool. All right, what's next? So I was always on that what's next moment and not being able to thank God for the blessings that he gave me. So those were things that you know hindered me. And I wanted to open it up with everybody who's on, because somebody out there is dealing with either one of those things we talked about or something like that. So man, that part was so powerful.
Can I share another one?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just thinking, like, another thing that hinders growth for myself is entitlement.
Oh,
like feeling like I'm entitled for God to move in my life. Feeling like, hey, God, you need to answer my prayer. But that entitlement removes like gratefulness. You can't be grateful and entitled at the same time.
Oh man,
and like in this season of my life, it's like God is teaching me, yo, I need you to be grateful for what is in front of you right now. Like, I know you want new things. I know you need new things, but I need you to learn to be grateful for what's in front of you. Who is in your life right now is enough. What is in your life right now is enough. And what you are doing and who you are right now is enough. Who I've called you to be is enough. Because we all long for so many things in this world, and we feel like I deserve this, I deserve that. But it's like, well, did we work for that? Well, I'm a child of God, and he can give me anything. But it's like, well, God also calls us to work for it too. And we're not entitled to anything. And we have to learn patience. We have to learn hard work, but also know that, hey, God's going to come through whenever he's going to come through, because he's God. He could do whatever he wants.
Man, I had to write that down. That was a bar I know they missed, man. You cannot be entitled and grateful at the same time. Like, that is, hey, I'm serious. I'm dead serious. I think a lot of people,
that was good. That was good. Hey, I got a word for that, man.
Go ahead, bro.
Crazy. I was I forgot who it was. I want to say it might have been Pastor Keon down in Houston. But he said you have to be, there's what he said, there's when you're content, there's contentment in content or something like that. But what I got from it was you have to be content where you are. And I know a lot of people take contentment as something that, oh, I'm stuck. No, it's not. You're not stuck.
Yeah, that's good.
Like Pastor Joe just said, you're right where God needs you to be. And you have to be grateful and thankful, and you have to be okay where God has you. Even though God said, I know the desires of your heart, but where I have you right now, this is perfect season for pruning. This is the perfect season for me to even show you your heart.
That's good.
Recognize
so good
that you man,
that is so good. I love how you did that. Like, oh man, that was so good, because the words you said, that you're in the perfect season for pruning right now, right? We've talked about this before, like about like sports and different seasons. We had a podcast on this, right? Like like, you know, basketball players enjoy off season. Like, in off season is where they get their training to get better on the things they wasn't good at the season before. Think about if they went season to season to season. Like you wouldn't be able to get those things pruned or worked on that you need to work on. And how E and Pastor Joe have been talking about, like, man, like that. I'm still stuck on this bar. Like, you can't be entitled and grateful at the same time. Like, you can't be like, yo, God, hey, thank you, but hey, man, what's up with the new car? Like, for real. Like, I know you didn't just take me in one hand and then like get mad.
Big fact.
Like, you can't.
We do it all the time too.
And we do. We are so true to that. I mean, I'll be 100% honest. Where I'm always hot and open on this thing. Like, I am so grateful for the podcast. I'm definitely grateful for it. Me and E started this about 3 years ago. But I have times where I'm like, well, God, where's the 1,000 subscribers at, though? And God is saying, like, I know you did not just thank me for this podcast that I still got going on that I can shut down at any time. But like, and that is so hard. And these are things that we need to start get pruning. That's why we in this season. Like, I'm still stuck on that bar because it's so good. I want to let y'all know that we're not even on our first note right now. We're not even. No, we're just in here talking. But I did want to like get into something that is going to tie into the first note, right? Because we just talked about the buds that are on the trees that limit how they get growth. And I don't know about y'all, but what I got from that is, like we've been talking about this whole time, that some of the sins or some of the things that we go through, the storms or whatever, limit our growth, right? And those are a lot of things that we deal with. And I had to do some more research on this. But my first point that I wanted to give everybody is literally nipping in the bud. Like, that's where we at right now, right? I've heard this line before, nip it in the bud, right? It literally means solve the problem, like do it early, get it over with, right? But now when I saw the word bud and I wrote that down, it makes a lot of more sense to me now, right? And the reason why it makes more sense, when these trees grow, right? When these trees grow, they start off and their branches start off as a bud. It doesn't start off as a full branch. It starts off so early of something that you can take care of easily. But the problem is we don't pay attention to it, and then it grows out so much into a branch, right? And literally a verse that I tied to this was Proverbs 8:17, right? And in that verse, let me find it real quick because I didn't like remember it off the top of my head. But really what it says is like in Proverbs 8:17, it says, I love those who love me and those who seek me early will find me. And that's why I got that note that says nip it in the bud, because farmers and tree growers who grow trees, they nip their buds early. And the reason they're able to do that is because they can do it with their hands because it's early. Man, like I need y'all to, like, if y'all are out there, I need y'all to catch on to this, on where we're going with this, right? The things that we are talking about that's getting pruned, there was a time where you could have caught it early. Whatever happened, you missed it, or whatever happened, you caught it early. But I want to get into a deep discussion about nipping it in a bud early. So I'm going to turn it over to y'all and let y'all rock. I'm going to let y'all roll with that one.
You can go ahead, Pastor. I'll let you have that one.
Oh, man. Dang. So when you were talking about like getting to the problem early, it's like, it's kind of like an illustration that I learned like a couple months ago that I've just kind of taken to heart for myself. Like the only animal who runs into the storm is a buffalo. So the buffalo is the only one that will actually run into the storm, and every other animal will run away from the storm. So the quicker, if you want to get out of the storm, you have to run into the storm. If you want to stay in the storm, you got to run away from the storm. And that was kind of like, dang, like, fixing your problems early, nip it in the bud. Like, I've always said that statement, and I gotta be honest, I never even knew what that meant until you said it. So I'm
Yeah.
30. I can't. Oh
It's one of
man,
them
but
old
yeah,
folks
just
saying.
like I know, right? Yeah, I just took their sayings too. But like getting to the problem early and understanding, like, okay, this is a huge problem. Something has to happen. And if I
Yeah.
don't figure out what the solution is, one,
Hmm.
there's going to be unhealthy things growing that I'm going to have to take care of later on in the future.
Mhm.
But I'd rather go ahead and take care of it now so that
Hmm.
I ain't got to worry about it later on.
Yeah.
And there's going to be more healthy growth later on in life. So that
Yeah.
was good.
Yeah. Yo, so I take that and it makes me think about preventive maintenance, right?
Yeah.
If I drive my car and the gas light comes on, right? I'm about to be out of gas and I don't go get gas, what's gonna happen? I'm
Mm,
gonna be broken down on side of the road somewhere,
Yeah.
stuck,
Yeah.
right? So to prevent that, my dad always taught me don't let your tank get below a half a gallon, right? A half a tank, right?
Yeah.
So that's like nipping it in the bud, like Pat Joe just said. Like you're taking care of things early, so that later, if you didn't know, for homeowners out there, if some break in your home, right? Let's say you got a hole in your roof. At some point of the year, it's going to rain.
That's good, bro.
Okay. I don't care what part of the world you in. At some part of the year, it's going to rain, right? At some part of the year, something may crawl in your house. I hate snakes.
mm.
If I see a snake, I'm running. Just know that if you with me, take off with me. Don't ask questions. We'll talk about it later. But you like preventive maintenance. If you don't fix the roof, something else is going to get in the house and tear up. You might get mold. You might get termites. You might get, water damage. Something
Yeah.
else is going to break. It's the same thing in your life. If you don't work on you right now, your relationship later will break.
That's good.
That's really
Your
good.
marriage later won't work.
That's good.
Right.
Like it's you gotta nip it in the bud early. Like beat the buffalo. I didn't know the buffalo did that. I'm
Me either. I did
honest.
not know that.
Never cared about a buffalo. They cool to look at. I got a little too close to one time. They all right, but they are smart animals. They probably are the smartest animal because if you're driving in a storm, right? Most people when they out in the storm gets really bad, especially in Virginia, they like to pull over on the side of the road. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, are they stopping? Like, it's gonna get worse. You know what I'm saying? But the more you keep driving up the road, it starts to die down. And now and now you're able to see your way through. It's the same thing in your life. If you get stuck and stop, you just get water, and then those other spirits don't start to sit in, depression, anxiety, all that other stuff that if you didn't live early, you wouldn't have to deal with it right now.
Yeah.
That's so good.
I wanted to I wanted to go back on something you said, and Pastor, I gotta go back on something you said too. I wrote it down. But like you said, bro, the illustration about the hole in the roof is like so good. Cause like there are so many times where we don't patch little stuff and we don't nip it in the bud. And then when bigger things happen is when we start to complain. Like, I cannot believe there's water on my roof or in my living room, but you knew 3 months ago that you had the small hole in the roof. And like you said, that it's gonna rain, right? I want to tie that into something because a lot of people don't understand that the Bible, Pastor, we talked about this in church. The Bible says storms are gonna come. Like it says it in Matthew. And it didn't say if, it says, hey, they're coming. When they're coming, I hope you're built on the rock. Like I'm telling you right now, that's the only thing I can tell you. So to me, that lets you know, hey, storms are coming. So if storms are coming and you don't have the right things going on, you didn't nip things in the bud, they're only going to highlight the sins and stuff that and the problems you have going on. Like I don't know how to make that clear. Like storms, okay, storms usually are totally separate from the sins and problems that you having going on. Those storms are only gonna make those things worse, right? Like the hole in your roof is a hole in your roof, but the storm and the rain is only gonna make that hole in the roof even more of a problem. Like that's what like E was like trying to explain. But if the storm came and you took care of that hole in the roof and you nipped it in the bud, yes, the storm is there, but now you don't have another problem on top of that. On top of that, like that's what I like. Like I love the illustration because a lot of people we miss that. Like, hey, these problems are gonna be here, but them storms are gonna come too. Just because you have problems doesn't mean that storms are not coming your way. Like I used to get so mad. Like double hits used to happen to me. Like wake up in the morning, the window broke, and you be like, "Oh my gosh!" But you didn't take care of the crack earlier, and now it started raining. You like, God, why is it a double dose? And God is like, "This is not a double dose. The rain was happening no matter what. Like the forecast said, rain was coming. Like and like that's how we walk around asking God, like, why are we getting hit in the double dose? And God is like, this wasn't supposed to be a double dose. Like you could have took care of the window, and you would have only just had rain. Like that's what I'm trying to say. So I was like, man, that was so good on that illustration, man. That was so good, bro.
Good.
And
like also like
go ahead.
Like something you talked about, like patching up the work. Like imagine. So it's funny that you guys mentioned like a hole in the roof and it's raining. Like so after church, we literally came home, and it was raining that day. It was like about a month ago, and we literally had a leak in our roof. And we came home, didn't even know about it. So sometimes you don't even know what's going on. Sometimes life will hit you. You don't even know what an issue is.
Man.
And then you think about, okay, I had two options. I could either patch up the job or actually fix the job. So like I had the option of, hey, our roofer came out, was like, hey, I'll give you 2 quotes. I can do it for this price, which will patch it up. But I know later on in life you're going to have to go ahead and do the roof, or you can just go ahead and do the roof now. I was like, let's do the roof now, because I don't want to wait until later. I don't want to wait until I don't want to patch things up, because if I patch things up, there's going to be another problem. Let's just go ahead and fix it now.
Man, that's good.
Yo, I hope y'all caught that.
I do. I hope they did.
I know people like to say the phrase, let's patch things up. No, let's fix this. We ain't patching it.
Let's fix it. Fix it now.
That's so good. Hey, E, I'm gonna like hit you up to pull up that picture real like in like 1 second. But I don't know if y'all ever seen like a bud on a tree growing, right? I looked at some images and saw some buds. Now I know what a bud is, and I'm like, oh, okay, I've seen this before. But like, E, if you could bring up that picture real quick, I hope it comes up and everybody can see it. But like if you see these buds, right? These buds don't look like they cause harm. They actually look nice. They look pretty. They look like after this growing, everything is gonna be okay. Like it looks like there's not gonna be a problem with this, right? Bro, you can take it down now. Like, but the reason I wanted to show y'all that is because this is what sin and problems look like. At first, it looks like it's nothing. Like if we don't nip it in the bud, it looks like something so small where it's not gonna be a problem, right? But the bigger picture is we're not looking at what it turns into, right? It turns into a desire that you're creating that leads to an addiction that's going to cause a bigger problem down the line, right? Like, let me just give y'all like a little small like example, right? Gratification gives us a sense of completeness and power, at least for the moment, till it leaves us empty or is pulled away from us. And now you're now seeking it as an addiction. And now you find yourself doing whatever or whoever to get that gratification. that right there, like when I was reading this and I'm sitting here looking at this picture, I'm like, that looked like it would cause no harm. But we don't know we don't know what it's going to grow into because we don't have that foresight, right? The only person who has that foresight for us is God. Like he had to have it, right? Because he sent his only forgotten son to know what our buds were going to grow into. Like he did it so long ago, and he continues to do it, and Jesus continues to do it on our lives. But I wanted to paint that picture for everybody and show that illustration on, hey, this is why it's so important to nip these things in the bud, right? So I don't know about y'all, but I found myself saying, how did I get here? So many times in my life. God, how did I get here? Like, why am I here? Why am I at this part of unforgiveness? God, why am I in this lie right now? Why am I at this place right now? Why am I here? And to me, I now that I know why, it's because I forgot to nip it in the bud. Like I'm gonna turn that right back over to y'all right there. Like, and I know we still on this point right now, but I'm gonna turn that right back over to you, Pastor. Like, man, like that part threw me crazy, like for real.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like asking yourself, how did I get here? And I as you know, I just preached on Jonah not too long ago. And it's like you gotta ask. Sometimes we read that story and we forget like how he got there in the fish, in the belly of the fish. And it's just like, how did you get there, bro? Like, why? How did? So that's a crazy story because like he is literally running away from not what you think he's running away from. We think he's running away from Nineveh, but he's actually running from the presence of God. And God brings a storm that not only affects him, but affects everybody else in that boat. And so I told someone this the other day because I was like, hey, man, I just really want to hear. I feel like God's speaking, and I don't want to be disobedient to what God is saying to us. And so this is what we're going to do. And I just read from Jonah, and if I don't do what God tells me to do, I'm going to find myself in a storm. But not only am I going to find myself in a storm, you're going to be in a storm, and so we're going this way. And so, like, it's also like the things that you're running away from. You're leading other people into the storm that wasn't even supposed to be for them.
Man. Woo. That's good. E, go ahead, bro.
So I think that part that you just passed about Jonah and the whale, I think we missed the part that his disobedience affected others.
Yeah.
Like your not nipping it in the bud is affecting not only just you, but your children, your spouse, your family, your friends, your circle, your community. And how much better would they be if you just nipped it in the bud early?
That's so
I think
good.
that's just, and the crazy part is, I feel like Jonah was like, how did I get here? And it's like, you did that, Jonah. you put yourself there. You didn't have to. The thing about God loves us so much that he makes it easy. We make it hard.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yo, and E, you are right, man. Like you do, like God does make it easier for us. Fellas, I don't know how to explain. We talked about this before. Everything you buy comes with instructions when it's time to put it together. Like I know, like you buy like a little entertainment set from Walmart or Target. It comes with instructions. I know a lot of us, you know what we do? We turn that box over, see that front, take them instructions. Hey man, I'm look at it and I'm gonna build it off what it looks like. But you cannot see all the little screws and the little things that go into it because you're not following instructions. And God has given us the instructions. He's given us this thing right here called the Bible. and laid out the entire plans on every step that we take. Like we talked about this before. Like Jesus literally went through a lot of things that most of us have went through, right? Like he got left, like his parents, like Joseph, and they left him. Like they were at a party, partying out. They probably ain't been out in a minute, and they left him at the party. Like Jesus was turned around, and his parents is gone, abandonment. But what did Jesus do? He said, "Hey, I'm gonna go to church." And when they showed up, and they was like, "Why you ain't came look for us?" He said, "I'm gonna go where my Father is, because I can always be found here." Like, and I'm telling y'all, like he's laid out things for us, but for us, like you said, Pastor, we get in this well in these storms, and we be like, "I don't know how I got here," and Jesus be like, "Well, you do know how you got here. You probably questioning why are you here, but you know how you got here. It's all because of you." Like we just want to make that point, like simple. And the biggest thing I got from the pastor is, like you said, you end up bringing people in storms that didn't even supposed to be in storms. Like they were just catching a ride with you. Like they saw something with you, and now you done brought them in a storm they wasn't even intended to be. That's so good, and it also hurts because it makes you look at yourself to be like, wow, like, you know, this is something that I could have avoided if I would have nipped this in the bud. Like, that's really good. Yeah. That's really, really good.
Yeah, so good.
The next part I want to get to as we get closer to our ending hour, like, so with the pruning, as we end it off, there are 3 type of pruning cuts that tree people do, right? I told you I did research. I had to. 2 of them are called heading and reductions, right? These are both shortcuts that only cut short parts of the branches, right? They're not cutting the branch fully off. They're not cutting it all the way back. They're only cutting it short. And these cuts do not allow full regrowth, right? Like they don't allow the actual like tree to get full regrowth. So it's only cutting the branch short, right? And Pastor, this is where I marked it down. I got stars next to it, where I wanted you to talk about that the steps that you preached at the youth. Like you hit this with the Bone Thugs, and I wanted you to go into this part right here. Like I needed you to put this on.
Man. Well, yeah, so I just quoted that song, I Tried. And they say it's like I'm taking 5 steps forward and 10 steps back. And like my friend, like we were in high school, and he was like, just think about that. Like that's a hard life. Like it's like you're taking 5 steps forward, and he just illustrated. He took 5 steps forward, and then it's like, now I got to take 10 steps back. Now I'm farther away from where I was and where I'm trying to go. And I literally am trying to take these steps, but I can't take these steps forward because there's something in my life that's holding me back from moving forward. For actually taking at least 5 steps forward and maybe 1 step back, and then 5 steps forward and maybe 2 steps back. Now you're getting further. You had a little setback, because we're going to have setbacks.
Yeah.
But are you going to get up? Are you going to allow yourself to keep taking 10 steps back every time you find yourself in a setback? And we gotta surround ourselves with people who will help us along the journey. Number 2, it's like we got to trust God in the storm. Because I think about Joseph in this, and it's funny, I was thinking about him today. It's like I was talking to someone about this last night, actually, and I was like, yeah, think about Joseph. I mean, he had a choice. He had a choice in prison. He had a choice to either find favor with God or curse God. And yet he found himself finding favor with God in every single moment he had a setback. Like, that's so good. The text says, like, his brothers sold him into slavery. Okay. Joseph found favor with God. Joseph got elevated into Potiphar's house. Yeah. All right. Another setback. Potiphar's wife goes after him. Doesn't even go after that. It's like, no, I'm peacing out. gets falsely accused. All right, you're going to prison now. I ain't do anything wrong. Falsely accused. Now I'm in prison. I'm back where I was. But he still chose to find favor with God. Still, like you got the cupbearers coming in. All right. Hey, remember me when you leave. The cupbearers forget him. But then God designs it for him at the right time to get elevated to second position because he chose to find favor with God.
That's
And so
good.
it's like in those moments, in those storms, it's like, what are we choosing? Are we choosing to be negative? Are we choosing to be ungrateful, like we talked about earlier? Are we choosing to be entitled? Are we choosing to do this? And I'm talking to myself right now. Like, I'm not preaching to nobody. I'm talking to myself. I can't be entitled. I have to be so grateful to the point where I even told my wife, I say, okay, for the next week, we can't complain. Like, that's the rule in our house. We got to be grateful. We got to be grateful. No matter what happens, our daughter got strep throat. We got to be grateful for that, you know. And like everything that hits our life, we have to learn. Okay, no negativity. Like, we're going to be grateful and thank God for it because this is helping us grow.
That's so good. Let's go, E.
Man, there's so much meat on that right there.
Yeah. That was good.
Tuning into, what are you turning your mind and heart towards when you're in a storm? Just like Pastor just said, that's going to dictate the outcome of the storm, right? God sets us on a path with the storm already written into our story. But what, like Pastor said, what are you choosing in the midst of the storm? I could be negative, or I could use favor with God and know that, like I say all the time, if you never read the Bible, okay, I'm gonna give you shadowing before you even get there, but hopefully you go read it. No matter what you go through in your life, you win.
Come on.
All right. Now go back and fill in the blanks to whatever you need to fill in. All right. But know that you win. And if you choose God and not complaining, or, not the spirit of comparison because, well, they went through that and they did wrong, and why am I getting punished? No, don't worry about none of that. That ain't none of your business. All right. Hey, God, thank you for that. I'm not going through what they're going through. Thank you that whatever I'm going through right now, you're trying to get me to recognize something that I'm not doing right, or something that I need to prune away. Right? Like, if the relationship not working out for you, ladies, he ain't your he not your cheese. Okay? He not yours. He ain't. He don't belong to you. Let little Tyrone go and do what he need to do. He's not yours. God got your husband for you, all right? He already got that man ready and prepared. But it's something that you need to prune away to get to where God is. Like, you have to prune away the things that God is trying to do in your life, because your blessings in your favor is waiting for you, but you're not spiritually prepared for it, because you need to prune away some of that stuff. Like, I love Joseph's story, but I know a lot of us couldn't do what Joseph did. I'm gonna be honest. I'm one of them. My brother sold me.
Me too.
Hey, on sight when I see you. All right. So God still pruning away some things in me, but Joseph is the example that you see that if you choose God, it works out every time. Like, that's how much he loves you.
Hey, man, I'm gonna tell y'all right now, man. If y'all haven't read the story of Joseph, man, Joseph did go through some things, man, for real. Like, with brothers selling, it's all about family, falsely accused, seeing them people again. I'm like Bernie Mac, man. It's gonna be some furniture moving. Like, I'm gonna bust some white meat. And the crazy thing is, like, Pastor, you did talk about everything he went through, and then the crazy thing is about God brought it all the way back full circle and brought his brother in front of him. Like, he brought him in front of him.
I think that's the most beautiful part.
And on that part, like Joseph had to take time. Okay, listen. I know we read the Bible and we be like, whatever. I read the Bible too, and I have like a Jamarcus version because I know Joseph had to stand back and be like, ooh, wait a minute. Like, you want me to forgive right now? Like, I don't know. But like you said, Pastor, he chose favor and he chose forgiveness. And he said, you know what? I forgive y'all because I know that this has nothing to do for y'all. This is all for me. And that part, like when that part came out at the ending chapter, this is like the last chapter, right? And it made me think about, like, if y'all didn't know, like, God, why did I asked myself, why did God spend so much on Joseph in Genesis? Like, you know, there's more chapters in Genesis about Joseph than Adam, than like about like all, like, we're talking about Adam. Why didn't Adam get like all those chapters? Like, Joseph has so many because it's all about forgiveness. Like, it had to be all about forgiveness. So like he chose favor. He chose to do favor, and that is what got him like the full-on blessing. So like, Pastor, when you explain that, like, it was so good, because I don't want people to miss that part where you said he chose, like it was his choice. And like you said, what are you choosing? Like, are you choosing to nip it in the bud, or are you choosing to complain about it? And I love how you said how you and your family are like, man, we're not complaining about nothing. Like, yes, our daughter got strep throat, but it could be way much worse, because there's somebody going through way much worse right now. So we want to choose to say thank you. And that's so important, right? And I want to finish this off like for the final part of like what I was saying. The last cut, right, of the pruning is the thinning cut. This cut removes the entire branch. It takes off the entire branch. This cut allows the most growth out of all the cuts that I just named, because it takes it all the way back to the original. It's not shortening it. It's not leaving any trace of what the old branch had going on, right? And you got to think about it, the Bible turns right into this, right? John 15:5 says, yes, I am the vine, you are the branches. Those who remain in me, I in them, and will produce much fruit. Far apart from me, you can do nothing. You can't do nothing. So if you shorten that branch, right, of whatever you had going on, the unforgiveness, the disheartening, the lying, or whatever, and you plan on getting more growth out of that, you're still leaving traces. That's why most tree branchers go with the thinning cut, to cut that entirely off. Why? So that they can get a branch of new growth that's gonna produce new and good fruit. Why keep the same branch and shorten it that's gonna continue to produce the same fruit? Like, I wanted to make that point clear. And the name of that point is, you don't get a choice and you ain't picking the pruning cuts. We don't get to pick the pruning cuts. God is going to do, he's going to pick the own pruning cuts. God says, I'm going to remove all branches that does not produce fruit, and I'm going to throw it in the fire. Like, we don't get a choice in that. And the reason we struggle and the reason we start going through so many is when we start to try to put our own hands on the shears that God is holding. Wow. Like, no, God, I don't want that thinning cut on this one, on that guy Tyrone. Can we just shorten it? Yeah. And I don't talk to him that long. I only talk to him often. Like, you know what? Here we go. I'll use myself. God, I struggled with sex through so much in my life. So can I do a shortening cut, and I won't have sex with just anybody, or before I get married, I'll just use porn. You're not getting rid of nothing. You're not helping. And God is saying that that's not what I'm trying to do in your life. I'm trying to take that whole branch away so that I can give you a branch that's about to produce fruit. That fruit that other people can eat off of. Because here we go. Here we go. I'm about to narrow it down for y'all. You know, the trees that produce fruit, they drop. And whatever's dropping is getting picked up and getting eaten. So if you're trying to not use and produce fruit that's not good for everybody, you're making everybody else sick that eat off your tree.
Wow.
Book, man, because that's where we at, guys. And I'm going to turn that over to y'all so that we can end this on a good one. Pastor, you got it.
Go ahead.
No,
go ahead,
Go ahead and go, and we're going to let Pastor close that out, man.
Yo, I say it all the time. I love this series. I love this episode tonight because I talk about it all the time. Like, the fruit that you bear on your tree is not for you.
Y'all, man.
Right? God is pruning you to be the example. You are the vessel, right? Like Pastor just said, Joseph chose to say yes to God and be the vessel. So that we can see the example of no matter if your family turn on you, your friends turn on you, if you choose me, I'll restore all of that. See, there's restoration.
Wow.
If you didn't know, when people prune trees, like the little bonsai tree, you got to cut it a certain way in order for it to be a beautiful tree. There's restoration in those cuts.
That's
like,
good.
The things that you think you lost, you get them back and then some.
Dang.
Right? Like, I lost so much from a past marriage. I thought I lost like so much. And this is kind of how the podcast started. You know, going through stuff at the command that I'm still at now, I thought I lost. But I had to have the right mind to choose God. Because if I chose Eric, it was going to turn out really bad.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be here tonight. Trust and believe me. Because I'll still be wrapped up in my feelings. See, God ain't a God about feelings. He don't care nothing about your feelings. He cares about your choices. Because your choices are going to lead your feelings to him. Because now, if I choose God, all my feelings are nothing but great, blessed, and positive things. And it's all about God. And so what's going to protrude out of my heart and my mouth is going to be God.
That's good.
See, my feelings are going to change. But if you choose to not like do what Joseph did, if I would have chose to be continuously negative, like nothing is gonna change in my life. I'm still God gonna keep me there. You didn't know that? If y'all didn't know, when Jesus was walking along the road, that tree didn't bear fruit. He said, "You will never bear another fruit. Die." That's it. Ain't no more coming back. So I don't want to be that tree. All right. I want to whatever you taking away from me, I know you're doing it for my own good. I thank you for that alone.
That's good. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, God.
It's a prayer and a blessing that whatever he took out of your life right now, thank you for it, because you didn't need it no way. Little Pookie, little Tyrone, Keisha, if they gone, you don't need them. Okay. If he took the job from you, you don't need it because he got all in store for you.
Man,
go ahead, Pastor.
Let's go, Pastor.
That's good. Oh man. You can't have little Tyrone and little Shaquika and all these people. Oh man. Now I think everything that you guys just said is really good. I think at the end of the day, like embracing the cutting means like, hey, I'm embracing the growth. And I know I'm throwing a lot of like quotes out, but like that's all I got, but recently just watched a podcast with Tim Ross, and are y'all familiar with Tim Ross in the Basement? Yeah. Oh man, have y'all watched that one yet when with Michael Jr., the comedian?
No, I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh bro, y'all have to watch that. Y'all have to watch that one.
Okay. Because
it's all about embracing conflict. And Michael Jr. said something so good. He said, the conflict that is in our, like, God puts people in our lives for a reason. And when we have conflict, that means God is trying to show us something that he's trying to get rid of. Like he's trying to get rid of something in our life when we are facing conflict with that one person. And it's like, we have to ask the question, like, okay, I'm in conflict with this person. God, what are you trying to show me that you want to fix within me? What do you want to prune out of my life? Or what do you want to prune in my life? Like, what do you want to cut out of my life? Because embracing conflict is one of the hardest things as human beings. We run away from conflict, like we always talk about. like we were talking about today. But what if we started to embrace the conflict and said, man, maybe there is something there. Maybe there is something that God's trying to show me that I need to address in my life, that I need help in, that I need prayer for, that I need accountability for, that someone else sees some blind spots in my life that I'm not unaware of. And I'll leave off with this quote, you know, like Billy Graham always took ownership. And even when people lied about him, he always said, you know what, even if their lie is 98% lie, there's some 2% truth in that I need to figure out, okay, what's the truth that I need to grow in my life? And so
That's good.
that's what pruning is all about, and cutting is all about. It's hard. It's not fun. It's not easy. It sucks. It's the worst, and it's hurtful. It's painful. It's not fun. It's not like, oh yes, I'm getting cut today. Yes, I'm excited. Nah, man, I'm getting cut today, dog. I'm hurting, bro. Like, it hurts today.
Yeah,
Man.
yeah.
And trying to be grateful through that is hard.
Man.
Yeah.
So,
That's good.
but those moments are like, okay, I'm growing. Because what if we didn't have these cutting moments? Because I've also heard someone say, if someone stops correcting you, that means they stop caring about you.
Ooh, man.
Oh,
Ooh. Yep.
bars.
Yeah, we probably just everybody logged off. I'm pretty sure everybody logged off. Yeah,
Bars.
that was a bar, and that was the perfect mic drop. Hey, Bro Talk Nation, Pastor. Once again, hey, listen. This is Pastor Joseph. Literally, y'all can find him crosswalk. Get on there, hop on. He's always on there preaching and spreading the good news of God's word. You can find it on YouTube, Instagram, and all type of social platforms. I want to say thank you from Bro Talk Nation for coming on here and blessing us tonight. It was an amazing time. Hey, make sure y'all go back and rewatch this. I have nothing else, man.
I thank you, Pastor Dozier, man. That was, I hope y'all caught all of that, man. Oh,
thank
man,
you. I am honored to be here. Thank you. Seriously, thank you. It's such an honor to be here.
Oh yeah. We got to bring you back for another one, man, because that right there was good. Hey, man, I hope y'all enjoyed it. I hope y'all got convicted. I hope something spoke to your spirit, right? That now you can start embracing these cuts. Like, I forgot what movie it was. It's like Death of 1,000 Cuts. Look, if God is starting to cut on you and it's going to hurt, it's not going to feel good. You might get a little salt on it, it's going to burn a little bit, but hey, just embrace it. Continue to, thank God, count it all joy. Hey, and man, wait till you see your ending to your story. You win. I keep telling you, I hope y'all catching it. You win. After them cuts heal, you win. You got new branches, new trees. You got new fruit to bear to give to someone else, because that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to talk about our testimonies, talk about the things we've been through, and then we got to take it all back to God, because he was the one that brought us through. So thank you again, Pastor Dozier, bro. It's been a great one. Hey, until next time, Bro Talk, be blessed, man.